We're going to kick off this session with Wil Reynolds, and he is the founder of Seer Interactive. So I'm really excited to see your presentation.
All right, let's rock and roll. Let me go ahead and share the screen here and make sure that we are good to go. So let me share screen. It's easiest with 2 monitors. Well, don't have that in this setup. So I'm going to go ahead and share and see how it looks. So please let me know if things are okay and good to go. All right, I hope everybody can see my screen just fine. So I'm actually an SEO guy. So, but I love speaking to paid folks because I constantly am thinking of how can I use my paid data and my paid friends to help me do SEO, and how can I use SEO data to help my paid friends and vice versa. And I feel like, you know, I've been doing search now for 20 something years, and, you know, the paid only search engines died, right? Like, you know, GoTo and Sprinks and Overture and all those sites, they don't exist. So our customers see both, but yet our tooling definitely forces us to stay in these silos. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the SEO data that we can bring, but specifically within a kind of TikTok and video lens specifically, since those are some of the areas that are getting the most kind of buzz these days, if it's TikTok, YouTube, etc. All right, so note, this presentation is definitely a work in progress. I have updated some of the slides from when I gave it last because I'm constantly iterating on how we are trying to bring data together to help our clients make better decisions about where to invest. Now, you know, SEO is kind of like the old dog. You know, it's been, you know, optimizing for search engines has been an industry, and it's been around for now 22, 23 years, whatever it is. And for so long, we were the cool guys, right? You know, we came with our free traffic and all that good stuff. And, you know, and now we see that like we're kind of like the old dog that maybe doesn't have the impact that we used to have. And I think that requires us to kind of shift our value. Because like, look, I mean, I'll show you in a bit, but when you look at the transition of the search result these days, it's harder and harder to get people to click on those organic results. And I think it's something that SEOs don't want to freaking admit. So just take a look here. I mean, you know, 4 paid results above my organic result. The old days of them being, you know, shaded or colored so people knew what was what are over. And if you actually ever sit and watch a human being go through a search result, they don't know the difference more often than you would think. But I see a lot of value in bringing these 2 things together. So I did a search the other day on Bing, and it's like, okay, so Bing knows to rank a support section for Monday.com in the first result. But yet we're paying for that search term to drive somebody to a landing page to say, hey, sign up for my product. And this is how I like to try to use and understand how can SEO help me to better understand paid. I literally ran this the other day for a client, and we found like, you know, 15% of their spend around their brand was coming on keywords where Google or Bing had already learned that this is a support query. This is not a I want to buy your stuff query. They have learned that it's a support query, but then our landing pages weren't about supporting those customers, and it was only going to add to frustration, especially when customers can't tell the difference between paid and organic. But then imagine if you're Bed Bath Beyond with this ranking on the word vacuums. Good luck getting clicks there. Or where result after result after result's got YouTube sitting up there at the top. And speaking of YouTube, I mean, you know, they're growing like crazy in terms of views. Facebook, you know, we can say, oh, Facebook, yeah, Facebook grew a bunch. Instagram, growing. Snapchat, growing. Kind of. I know they're starting to slow down a bit. But you look at these and you're like, okay, well, if this is where my customers, so if I'm coming from this SEO kind of lens, I'm going, wait, this is where all the people are going. What the freak is my role? And then, of course, we got to talk about the growth in TikTok. But they're also spending tons and tons and tons of time there. And when you look at how much time is spent on these kind of sites, you go, okay, I see the writing on the wall. As someone that spent a lot of time in SEO and trying to figure out how to help paid do a better job with SEO data, this is where my customers are at. So what is my role all of a sudden, right? And the thing about these platforms is once you get on them, they're never going to try to get you off, right? And a lot of the content on these platforms is made like this. And how many of us are building out content with our keyboards when what's growing are the sites that show video. And those algorithms, they use text. Like, think about it, right? Like, people are like, wait, so Will, you're optimizing for a text-based algorithm. That doesn't really help you a whole bunch when it comes to figuring out how a Snapchat might work or how a TikTok might work. I mean, yes, you have to put the right text in to some extent, but all those engagement metrics are what is really kind of, from what I can see, powering those places. So the young folks are looking at us like, all right, boomers, you and your old search engines with your old content ads and your old like meta descriptions and titles, good luck with that. So it's, some people might think, is it time to abandon ship, Will? Is it time to like become like an influencer or whatever it is? And I think that I'm going to make the case that we have more value than we think, but we don't use our data together to help us display that value to our clients. So keyboard content versus camera-driven content is going to be a major problem for SEO. I don't even want to talk about ChatGPT yet. But I think it's actually an opportunity for SEO folks because we get to bring content and we get to bring data to some of the questions around, well, how can I take advantage of this kind of camera-driven world? And I want to show you a few ways that we can do that. So I don't think the keyboard is dead. For a long time, they told us that voice search, remember this, it was going to be 50% of all the searches. And then we saw all the headlines and they were wrong, right? And now it's like, oh my God, the youngins replaced Google with TikTok. What are we going to do? So we see posts like this, 40% of Gen Zers use TikTok for search. Look at that, right? Look at that. And then Gianluca says, well, wait, this was about where to eat. But you know what? That doesn't matter because we live in a headline-driven world. So notice, ABC News didn't say this was about lunch. Adweek didn't say this is about lunch. Business Insider didn't say this was about lunch. So what do our execs see? They see these headlines and they go, oh my God, hey, you with the keyboard, get out of here. We don't need more things you type into Google. We need you to be working on video or whatever it might be. So my real question isn't, will TikTok kill Google? I think that's just stupid. The question is, where is content that's produced with cameras a better answer to the customer's need? That's the question we should be asking, because who cares what platform they're on? I'm trying to understand my customer better. So how do I know with today's data if my audience is likely to end up on a Snapchat, an Instagram, a Facebook, a YouTube, a TikTok? Like, how do I know that? And then what's my role in that? As a disclaimer, I do not want to build a TikTok agency. I don't want to get in that game. I don't think it's the right game for me, but I do want to be at the table when those decisions are being made. So the question I have to ask myself is, where does the content that's made on these devices show up on Google search, which I've gotten really good at understanding over these last 20 years. So let's start with images. I look at the word bedroom design ideas, okay? And when I think about TikTok's disruption, and I look at this page, and I look at what somebody put together, she's showing how to put up the wallpaper in the room, how she rolls it down. This is a pretty good user experience. And then she's going through step by step, showing me all the different things that she did to make her room look amazing. And of course, people have to link out to their storefront because, TikTok is still figuring out the e-com side. But now let's go over to the Google side. So now I'm on Google and I'm saying, hey, I'm looking for bedroom design ideas. Look at those ads at the top. Look at the ads, right? It's like ads. Let me show you beds. It's like, well, I'm not trying to buy a bed yet. I'm really trying to get inspiration, but Google's like, we're going to show you ads. And then down below, we've got images. This is great. This is more of where the customer probably is when they're looking for ideas. But let's talk about the user experience, because each of those images exist on a different site. I click and I get this. I'm not going to show you what you wanted. I'm going to show you my pop-up. I'm going to show you my cookie consent. And then I'm going to make you click next 123 times to see each image because I need to grow my page views. Yay. That's a really bad user experience, right? And TikTok's user experience was a heck of a lot better than having to go from site to site to site, closing out content forms, closing out pop-ups, closing out all that crap. But then also for bedroom design tips, I see video is showing up. All right. So now I'm thinking I got images, I got video showing up. These are the kind of search terms where my customer might someday end up on a TikTok, on a Snapchat, on an Instagram, etc. So I like to try to come up with a TikTok interest index. Like, how can I show my client how things are trending over time as it relates to customers wanting more video? And I started to think about these things. And because we warehouse our data, I'm able to see each client and what percentage of TikTok domains are ranking in the top 2 or 3 positions over time. So I have to blur it out, obviously. But what I'm able to do is say, hey, where do they rank number 1 or 2? If I see that growing over time, I can say to my client, hey, TikTok is now becoming more or less visible on Google, but you can't really trust Google to completely show one of their biggest competitors in the search engine, or at least I can't. So what do I do next? I take all my clients and I trend out over time. Hey, what percentage of your keywords and what percentage of your impressions and your spend is coming on keywords where Google's putting a video in those first 20 results? Because if Google's putting a video in the top 20, they have learned something about the customer, which is video might be a good answer to this question. How many of you knew that Google dropped, I think it's from about 70 million, and according to our data, we had 70 million impressions where video was in the top 3, and that dropped down to about 20 million impressions in November. So this is, again, organic rankings. Where are we bidding on keywords in paid, where Google is showing a video in the top 3 results? And how many impressions are we getting by client? So then we're able to see, Google's increasing or decreasing the amount of times they believe that video is the right answer, which can help us talk to our clients about where they should be investing their dollars. And by the way, I just wrote a blog post about SEO, how to use SEO and PPC together. And all of the tips, all the videos, how to do this yourself, it's all sitting there in that blog post. So then I'm looking at that trend over time. November had the big drop, and then December, January, February have been kind of chill. This is how I start to catch early on a monthly basis whether or not Google believes that video is a better answer for the client. But video is just one of many snippets. Look at all of those. Answer boxes, paragraphs, calculators, events, images. Great. If we're also thinking of image search, all I got to do is hit my drop down and say, instead of showing me video, show me where images or maps show up. And then I can look at every single one of the clients and say, all right, let me go back. Sorry. And how many of your search terms, what percentage of your impressions are showing up with images, et cetera, any of these other ones, because we're combining the paid and organic data together. And we're literally running this on every search term that gets a click every month and bringing that data together to help our clients to make better decisions. And you can do all this stuff too. And we've got all of the ways to do it sitting in that last blog post I just mentioned. But it's one thing for me to say, okay, well, that's the snippet that shows up. But what I started hypothesizing was, tips content might be highly disruptible for my clients. Because if customers are looking for tips and we're seeing that TikTok and these other sites are doing a better job with tips content, then show me everywhere a title in organic contains the word tips. For every client, how much are we spending on search terms in paid where Google is saying, hey, people want tips in the top 10, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now I'm also able to say, hey, client, it's not just that video shows up. It's also that when customers are looking for tips, we believe there's a better experience on a YouTube, on a TikTok, on a Snapchat. So you might want to divert some of your funds over that way because we're seeing more and more answers for Google are showing up for tips type of content. And maybe we're not performing as well for those because maybe we don't have the best answers there. And the beauty of the platform that we're building on, it's called Looker, is I can create alerts for each client for this. So if a client says to me, hey, Will, if video starts showing up for more than 20% of my spend or 20% of my conversions or 15% of my impressions, I want to know. And then we can set up all of the alerts to then fire off to us and say, hey, you've now crossed a threshold at which you and the client agreed that it's probably time to start thinking about how to use this data to alter a TikTok or a Pinterest or an image strategy, a video strategy, etc. So for those of you that were like, man, it's SEO, dude, I don't do SEO. This is a paid search conference. What the freak is he going to show me? I think I'm showing you why SEO teams should have a seat at the table. And that's me pulling my seat up. I hope that's valuable so far. All right. So if you have a report that shows rankings and you can use a mouse. I'm going to show you something that I don't think we talk about a whole lot as it relates to doing a better job of image search when our customers, remember, are going to places where cameras are more likely to give the answer than a keyboard and something you typed. This is another way to be smarter about your e-commerce images and thumbnails. So when you do a search on Google, organically, if Google puts images at the top #1 position, it means they feel pretty confident that an image is the right answer. I'm looking at my time here to make sure that I'm good. I will need someone to come in and tell me my time because I don't have two screens, so I can't see the comments right now. That'll help me regulate the rest of the presentation because I'm getting, I think I'm long on time. So if Google knows that images with pools are the right answer and they feel really confident about it, look at those images down there. Look at them. Every one of them has a pool in it. And Google's putting this in the #1 position in organic. So if you take those images and drag them over into the Google Vision API, so mouse, finger, click, drag it into the Vision API, Google will give you all of the different tags for those images by just dragging. That's it. So you drag one, you drag another, and Google gives you what it thinks is in the image. And then go look at the images you're showing in your shopping feeds, y'all. Notice how none of these images have a pool in them. But Google in organic has learned that a pool is the right answer. And you drag your image over and you say, oh my God, Google thinks this is a rectangle and it's serverware and it's shelving and it's headgear and it's wood and all these things, right? Notice none of them say pool. All right. So if you're thinking, well, how can I create better thumbnails in my video, in my YouTube, in YouTube? How can I create things that better engage with people? Use the images that Google is showing for the search results that you're paying for. Remember, you're paying for a search term. Why not extract that information from Google to say, well, which of my search terms are showing images? Take those images, drag them over, find out what Google is rewarding people for, and test using them in landing pages. Test using them in your video, in your thumbnails, and other places as well. All right, let's talk about YouTube. Same thing, right? If Google's showing video at the top, Pearl Jam live guitar, you want to learn to play that? All YouTube. Probably makes sense. People are probably like, yeah, okay. Will we get that? Impact drill? Yeah. Google thinks video is the right answer for the word impact drill. Okay. SharePoint training? You got it. So what I'm trying to show here is that, again, the value. If you want to figure out, should I be investing more in YouTube? Should I be investing more in TikTok or whatever it is? Why not take the search terms you've already paid for, run them through organic, pull in the clues that Google has about how to best solve that person's answers, and then flip it back. All right. So my belief is if Google believes that YouTube is a good answer, then that means that video is the right answer. And if video is the right answer, you got to think of all those platforms that are heavily video driven. Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all those. All right. So, if Google thinks video is the right answer, then your customer's probably going to end up on one of these places. So why not use that intelligence? Think about it. Every time Google shows a search result, they are displaying billions of dollars in R&D to understand the customer. Billions that I don't have, you ain't got, but they have to display it. So when you harvest that information and combine it with your paid data, you get a competitive advantage because you're able to use what Google's learned is the right answer against what you're showing the customer and the client to try to hit your goals and objectives. All right. So for instance, for me, when you bring all this data together, you can look at your clients and say, well, hey, when a video shows up, what does my CPA look like? You can also say, am I better at it, worse at it? What percentage of my spend am I spending on keywords where YouTube is in the top 3 results, top 2, top 1, whatever you want to do? And think about that. Hey, if I'm spending 7% of all my paid spend on search terms where video is sitting at the top, what happens if that jumps to 20%? And do you know when that happens? What would you do with that information? That's why I think it's important to trend these kinds of things out. So I think, again, when people think that SEO probably doesn't have a seat at the table, I think that our value is just shifting, but I think there's still a lot of value to having us at the table there. All right. So again, Is it my job to make YouTube videos for my clients? Not usually. But it is my job to be like, when can I tell you in video is the right answer for a customer query based on what Google has learned is the right answer for a customer? And if you're kind of like, well, Google gets some things wrong, it's like, okay, I get it, but broadly they get more right than wrong. And they're so good at understanding what customers want that if you search for the word Ian, you're going to probably see a page all about an actor. But when Hurricane Ian hit, within minutes, Google got rid of all the information about that actor and changed the entire first page of results in minutes to be able to show that people were looking for a hurricane. That's how good Google knows what people are and aren't looking for. And if you had to search for Ian at the same time in another country where a hurricane wasn't hitting, you probably wouldn't have seen those results because Google understands all those factors. All right, let's talk a little about TikTok before I let you go. So look at the search results where, and I think I just pulled this out of Ahrefs, where TikTok ranks in the top 10. See anything there? Yeah. Okay, so if you're like, Will, I don't get it. Good for you. You're a pure person. If you're like, oh, I know what these words are. They are almost all related to porn. Yes, most of TikTok's top pages that rank in the top of Google happen to be related to porn. So what are we going to do with that? Nothing. Not unless somebody from a porn site is on the call today, which good for you. I'm not mad at you. No judgment. So when I started trying to figure out, all right, TikTok, where do they rank? Well, I went, all right, let me start looking at client brands. And then I started seeing, okay, I'm seeing more and more instances of TikTok showing up in the top 10 for branded type keywords for certain types of clients. And look there at number 4, we still have people looking for Roblox, Pornhub. Oh, gross. It's like the things I have to see to create good presentations for you guys is brutal. I hope you appreciate it. All right. But there were some other words that weren't related to porn around Roblox. And sure enough, you see TikTok ranking. You see Discord ranking. That's another clue. And then you see videos showing up. And that, if let's just say I'm going after words related to Roblox, then I'm saying, all right, client, we might need to be somewhere with TikTok. We might need to up our video strategy because I'm seeing our brand show up for these kind of words. And here's how much you're spending on these words in paid. Here's the page you're landing them on in paid. And I think there's a disconnect and we can do better for our customers. So then I started just looking for other brands. And sure enough, you start seeing brands, TikTok, but there's only 60 keywords here. But you know what I started finding? Anywhere Google was willing to show TikTok, I often saw YouTube right with it. And then that triggered me to say, let me go through. Hey, these 60 words, that's not enough for me to talk to a client about a TikTok strategy. But if we believe that YouTube, if I should look for words in SEMrush or Ahrefs where YouTube is ranking in the top 10, now all of a sudden I got a lot more words that help me to say, Google probably doesn't want to rank TikTok that much. I don't blame them for not wanting to do that. Don't know if they suppress it or not, have no proof, no evidence. But they are definitely willing to show YouTube a lot more for these words than they are for TikTok. So I'm trying to use YouTube as my proxy for Google believes that video might be the right answer, which then can help me have a seat at the table when it relates to how to invest in TikTok. Let me just show you, I did a couple things. Phantom Buster actually no longer allows you to scrape TikTok this way. I'm so sorry. So we had to build our custom scraper. But what we're now doing is we're looking for the Discover pages, which is what Google typically ranks in the top 10. Not top 10, sorry, which is what Google usually ranks that I cared the most about for my clients. So now what I did is I took those pages and I scraped out who were the top posters, how many millions of views did this Discover page get on TikTok, and what are the hashtags that are being used. And then if you join that data to some other data that you might have, you're able to start saying to a client or look even internally, hey, here are the pages where TikTok is ranking. Here's how many views that page has. And then imagine a world where you can start to combine that data to your paid data. So I was shocked to even find things like, wait, what? As I was doing this YouTube analysis, I was like, wait, Google believes that video is the right answer for how to increase your credit limit at a lot of banks? And it was like, yup. And I'm like, oh my God, if I'm in a bank and I'm bidding on words for my brand that relate to increasing credit limit, how much am I spending on these words? And Google's already telling me that they think video is the right answer. Okay. I won't have time to get into the people also asks today, but it's another massive clue. So then I started looking at these pages and saying, all right, I want to scrape out all this intel and then try to join it to my other data. And this is all public data. It's all public, folks. This is a TikTok page that ranks in Google, and it's a scrape of Google. So it's all public. And as I was doing this for different brands and testing different brands and whatnot, I went, wait, is that 1.3 billion with the B views on a TikTok page with a title that you scrape, right? And you're able to say, wait, so there's 1.3 billion views on this Discover page? All right. And then you can take your organic data from from either your own scrape or from SEMrush or Ahrefs or one of those tools and say, well, how many search terms are showing up for those, right? And all right, cool. I just cut a couple things out. So I'll just wrap up right here. So then you can take those 16 keywords, that rank somewhere in the top 50 for a TikTok, because they're probably not going to rank in the top 10. Say, hey, client, for these 16 keywords, Google is ranking a TikTok page with X number of billions of views. So here are the influencers. Let me actually go back one. Imagine if you have sitting in your data, here are all the influencers, here's the page views, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're going to go advertise on TikTok, or if you're looking for influencers on TikTok, maybe, I'm not saying definitely, but maybe the people we should be talking to are the people that are driving 1.3 billion views around this topic. All right. So as I wrap up, I still love SEO, but I have been challenging myself over the last 5 or 6 years to figure out a way to make sure that the tooling that we use at least at my company better represents what the customer sees. There is no paid only search engine anymore, but yet we've got a lot of paid only tools and a lot of SEO only tools. And SEO, what I like about the clues in SEO is you've got to actually earn the right to rank. You've got to earn it. You've got to be the right answer or close to the right answer, or Google's not going to rank you. So I can use that intel to find out where am I spending money on areas where Google's just letting me kind of show up, but I'm not really earning and speaking my customer's language. All right, so I'll leave you with this quote from Spider-Man. I hope all of you go out and make a difference and lead your organizations in bringing your organic data that your customers see when they search for keywords and they see those paid ads. Why not start to bring those organic listings in and use those clues to help your clients determine everything from content freshness to whether or not there's a growing video need for your clients. All right, that's all I got. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over. I think I was about on time.